So he did it. Bernie Sanders won Nevada. Now, this is going to be a very probably short breakdown because it's Sunday. I just woke up. I did 5.5 hours on Twitch last night streaming this victory. I'll show you that link in a second. But let me go through here what happened, because this was a very clear victory. So even though he won in Iowa and New Hampshire, I think the Sanders campaign needed this to show that they were able to build a real diverse working class coalition to be able to take on Donald Trump. And that's exactly what Bernie Sanders did here. Nobody even came close. Look at this, 46% right now, with 60% of precincts reporting. The next closest person is Joe Biden at 19. So we're talking here about like a 25, 26% gap here. This is incredible. This is an incredible win. Now, I want to go through some tweets that kind of break this down. So Matt Visser tweets out here, the Sanders win was emphatic. He prevailed among those with college degrees and those without, in union and non-union households, in every age group except over 65. He won more than half of Hispanics and even narrowly carried moderates and conservative voters. So this is what I talk about when I say people self-identify as moderate or conservative and don't even really know what that means. Or I should say, because those labels are so subjective, they mean different things to different people. So while somebody may say, oh, I'm a moderate or I'm a conservative, they may also still be in favor of Medicare for all. So this is why you have to get away from looking at labels. Oh, if you just put all the moderate candidates together, well, they'll defeat Bernie Sanders. That's not true at all. The Joe Biden supporters, their second choice candidate is Bernie Sanders. So it's not about ideology. Let's look at some more here. Benjamin Bradlow tweets out, Bernie bros, quote unquote, at a caucus in Nevada. As you can see, this is the diverse base that Bernie Sanders has. This from Nikhil Goyal. This is a movement powered by housekeepers, home health aides, truck drivers, nurses, educators, students, fast food workers, retail workers, and the multiracial working class of this country. Exactly. Michael Payne here says, perhaps the most interesting exit poll result from Nevada, 37% of Bernie's supporters were first-time caucus goers. A good sign for the possibility of expanding the electorate and generating high turnout in a general election. If you've seen any of my videos, how often do I talk about why Bernie Sanders is the most electable candidate? It is because he's able to bring out people that don't normally vote. And you're seeing that right now in the primary. And the fact that we're seeing this in the primary is huge, because the real argument is that it's a lot easier to vote in a general election. There's no, like, during the primaries, there's often closed states or semi-closed primaries. Like, you have to be registered ahead of time as a Democrat in many states to be able to vote in a primary. In a general election, it's a lot easier for people that don't normally vote to come out and vote. So if you're already seeing massive turnout now during the primary, just imagine in the general election what you will see. So Bernie Sanders is proving right now what he's able to do, and that's bring out people that don't normally vote. And this is how you defeat Donald Trump. About 40% of the country doesn't normally vote. We're talking about independents, young people, working class voters. That's the Bernie Sanders base, and they're coming out for him. Daniel Moran's here. Chuck Roca informs me that in his big effort to inform Nevada Latinos about Bernie, he kept TV spending relatively low to avoid detection. More money went to radio, print, digital, and mailers. So Chuck Roca, if you don't know, is the president of Solidarity Strategies. He's Bernie Sanders' senior advisor. He was integral to the win in Nevada. Josh Orton here, quoting, I think this is the New York Times. Yep. But in interviews in recent days, many rank-and-file union members said they supported Mr. Sanders precisely because of his health care proposal, saying they wanted their friends and relatives to have the same kind of access to care that they have. So this is in relation to the fear-mongering around, oh, these union members, they love their health care, the culinary union, they love their health care, so they're not going to vote for Bernie Sanders. In reality, they want everybody to have the health care that they have. And even in, like, there's, I mean, big caveats there. Like, to actually have fantastic health care when you're in the culinary union, you need to be working a certain amount of hours to actually have access to it. And even still, there are still out-of-pocket expenses. So there's, putting that aside, though, like, people, by and large, I think are beginning to understand that under a Medicare for All system, even if you have great healthcare through a union, through an employer, there are endless benefits to having a single-payer system, because maybe you lose that job. If you lose that job, then you lose your union healthcare, your employer healthcare. Then what? So under a single-payer system, you would have healthcare regardless of your employment, regardless of it. Maybe you're going back to school. Maybe you're starting a business. Maybe you have a small business, but you can't afford to give those people health care. But under a single-payer system, they would have health care. So endless benefits to a single-payer system, and people are realizing that. And I think Bernie also making the point during the Nevada debate, telling the culinary union that he will never sign a bill that will reduce their benefits, that will reduce their health care benefits. He will only sign a bill that will keep or expand their benefits. I think put a lot of people at ease to realize that, yeah, actually, under Medicare for All system, most people, even if they have healthcare through an employer, their benefits will be expanded under a Medicare for All system. Almost done here. Just want to show you. This was the moment that it was called for Bernie Sanders. This is my stream last night. Again, like 5.5 hours. So if you go to twitch.tv/TheRationalNational, I don't expect you to watch 5.5 hours, but you can go through it. I was watching a lot of cable news and seeing their coverage during it. Surprisingly, I may do more on this on Monday or next week. CNN actually had fairly good coverage of the Nevada caucuses. They had on Alexandra Rojas. Van Jones had some good opinions as well. But even, like, by and large, the panel was actually being objective to the facts when it came to reporting on the Nevada caucus and Bernie's ability to actually build this movement. MSNBC, though, they had James Carville on. Oh, I don't even want to get into it. But, you know, James Carville, Chris Matthews going nuts on MSNBC. But this is the moment that it was called. Biden's giving a speech right now, but you will see what happens.
We have been listening to Vice President Joe Biden speaking in Nevada, and we are projecting that Bernie Sanders, NBC News projects Bernie Sanders, the winner in Nevada.
All right. So I think I start swearing now because I'm so happy. But that whole stream, that was a great stream. A lot of people joined it. So, and the reason I had to do that on Twitch, when it comes to copyrighted issues, when it comes to, like, cable news, YouTube is a lot weirder with that stuff. Even though this should fall under fair use, and it is commentary. Twitch is a lot more lenient. YouTube is a lot more hit and miss. So that's why when it comes to, like, streaming a debate or streaming events like this, I will do that on Twitch as opposed to doing it on YouTube, because I can't stream cable news on YouTube. But you can check that out if you want. I also have below the video in the description box is a link to the Twitch page. I think I have one last tweet here. Oh, yes. Let me just end on this. So I may just put this full screen, but this was made before the Nevada result, but I got to give credit here first to Bernie Watchdog. This is an incredible breakdown of basically the media over the past 12 months. So let me just end on this video.
Coming to you live from Las Vegas, Bernie Sanders has the inside track to the Democratic nomination. Let me repeat, Bernie Sanders.
He's done. I see Bernie Sanders realizing he won't be in the top 5 and dropping out.
I think Bernie's time.
Be careful.
I don't understand why he's running now.
They need to start knocking some candidates out. Otherwise, the Democratic Party is going to nominate Bernie Sanders.
For the Democrats to win, they have to knock Bernie out early.
If it's clear that you are not going to be the nominee, will you leave the race?
I intend to be the nominee.
But Bernie Sanders is the most stubborn politician.
Stubborn old goat.
Who's yelling? Screaming. Screaming.
In the same screechy voice. His time has come and passed.
Coming out of Iowa, I would bet on Biden being there.
Harris, Warren,
Kamala,
Cory Booker, Michael Bennet. I think there's a lot of pressure on Bernie.
It doesn't appear that there's growth.
Should he be thinking about throwing in the towel?
Your polling numbers have gone down a little bit.
Just happened to bring it with me.
Incredible.
is Bernie done?
Bernie Sanders was just released from the hospital.
We shouldn't expect to see him on the campaign trail in the foreseeable future.
To put it bluntly, I am back.
It's called the AOC primary.
Biggest endorsement of the 2020 race.
She formally endorsed Sanders in dramatic fashion.
Endorsements can be overplayed.
I just want to kind of say, duh.
Just don't see that he's back.
You're disheveled, you're unlikable.
Well, guess what? He's in second place nationally.
He's more lighthearted.
Donald Trump losing badly. Because that's baloney. They're smoking something.
That's the only one I didn't want to do.
Things are going very, very well for Bernie Sanders.
34.5 million.
25 million in the last month.
With 6 days to go, some are sounding the alarm.
Bernie Sanders wins New Hampshire.
This comes after Sanders won the popular vote in Iowa.
I am scared to death.
The freak out you will see.
Progressives want to march the aristocrats to the guillotine. There's real panic.
That there's panic.
It's going to be the end of days.
There were executions in Central Park. I'm not happy. You're going to be a miserable president, and I might have been one of the ones getting executed. Bernie, you're full of it.
Who's the front runner?
Pete Buttigieg upset Bernie Sanders in both states.
The story is how much ground he's lost.
The story is Amy Klobuchar coming in third.
That had to be a disappointment.
And they're starting to think, could this really happen?
I don't understand how Bernie is considered a front runner.
He's popular.
He literally won the most votes.
Bernie Sanders
Is flying away.
He's about to clinch this thing.
is a phenomenon.
We are their worst nightmare.